We want to find out how a golf trolley is actually built, and nowhere is better to come than Stewart's headquarters here in Gloucestershire, where today we're going to be building our very own Q Follow. Not only that, it'll be the first ever 2025 Q Follow to roll out of this factory. We're going to find out how it's built, how they design it, how they put it all together here in their factory, and then stick around to the end because we're going to be giving away the very model I'll be building today. Right, let's get going. Right, then we're at the start of the journey of our trolley. I'm joined by Stewart, CEO Mark. Hello, mate. How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for talking us through this today. So as I said, this is where our trolley's journey begins. It's goods in at your factory here in Gloucestershire, but it's much more than that, isn't it? So talk us through this part of the process, because there are parts everywhere.
There are parts everywhere. So this is goods in. So all of our parts are made by specialist subcontractors, mostly in the UK these days, in varying batches, in varying sort of colours and sizes and everything like that. But everything will come into us here, and we'll obviously check for quality and make sure everything is doing what we want it to do and is made how we've designed it. And then, but from this part is, like I say, the start of the journey, and then we go into the production facility before we end up with shipping out to the rest of the world.
So that checking the quality stuff, Mark, you do that all in here. Talk me through this machine here. We've spoken about it briefly on camera. It's pretty cool, but
yeah.
This is, to your point, the quality checking. Though you trust all your partners here in the UK who are making this stuff, you've got to double check it for quality, right? And this is what this machine does. Basically,
the problem that we've got with a lot of our components is that we design things that don't have lots of flat surfaces, really, really hard to measure. So in order to be able to measure something like this, so this is what we call a drive dog. So this is what drives the wheel on the axle of a Q Follow. Not many flat things on here that we can measure, lots of different surfaces. So this will go into here, and these are the little fixtures actually that we 3D print ourselves on that machine, which is a 3D printer.
Very cool.
So what happens is there's a tiny little probes on here, so there's 5 of them, will move in 3 dimensions and touch each component or different places on the component to measure it, and that will take that against a predefined set of tolerances that will tell us whether basically this is what we expect it to be made.
And you do that on all sorts of pieces that come in from your various manufacturers, right? It's not just these small pieces.
No, so
wheels.
it could be anything basically. Yeah. So something like this. So this is the wheel for a Vertex before all the parts are assembled into it, and exactly the same thing. How do we know this is round? Is it good enough for this? Will it spin freely on an axle? Will the other parts clip into it nice and easily? All these things that basically are through the quality phase of things. So really what we want to do by the time it gets to a production line is that what we're building we know is good quality. So what we don't want to do is get to the end of the production line and realise that, oh, actually I'm not sure about this bit. You'll see this when we go down the production line, but there's a phrase that I heard when I was doing so I did an engineering degree, that you can't test quality into a product, you have to build it into the product. And so that's what we're trying to do. So obviously there's a test here, but so that we build the product to a high standard. So this is kind of the bit that most people will never see about what we're doing. Obviously it's why you're here, in that effectively we're an engineering company that happen to be in the golf industry, rather than sort of just purely golf, and it's full of golfers. Obviously we've got plenty of golfers here, but actually first and foremost we have to engineer this properly, and if we engineer it properly then the product will be good, and if the product's good the experience for the customer is good. So
well, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is all the checks and quality. So this is before we even get into that production line, which you're going to see in a minute. But before any of this comes in here, Mark, it's got to be designed. It's got to be prototyped. You've got to come up with the idea. So let's go see how that works now. Okay, Mark, come to one of your lovely little working booths here. So we've seen goods in now. Before we go and make anything, we've got to chat about the design process, right? And how you guys put all this together. So we'll talk about the history of Q Follow in a minute in the Q series, but how does this stuff actually come to life? What's the brain's trust? Where does this all go? I want to know it all.
So I mean, really, the background of the business is that the 4 of us that started it, we're all still here. We're all engineers.
Yeah.
So coming up with things, innovating, designing things, making things is basically what we do. That's kind of in our sort of in our DNA. So really, when we come to design products, pretty much we're just looking at how are we going to give the consumer the best experience on the golf course, and really that's what we always come back to. If we want to say, look, this is going to be remote control, and that's for the first 10 years of our company, we were remote control specialists. So this is pre-follow. And when you design something specifically to be remote control, you have different priorities than you would otherwise. So, namely balance. So if you're constantly holding on to something, actually your priority is to make it feel light to steer. So that means that you probably want it to tip up quite easily. When you come to remote control, you're designing something that will probably be 20, 30, 40 yards ahead of you most of the time. You've got to have real confidence that that thing isn't going to fall over when it goes up the side of a bunker or something. So our priorities have always been basically stability is key. So that's why we've normally got a wider wheelbase than most. We've got 2 front wheels, which gives you a wider footprint. There's always been a stabilizer in our machines, because that fundamentally gives you the confidence in it. Plus, we move the battery further forward in the chassis, so it basically, a bit like you would you hear about sports cars being mid-engined. Our machines are generally kind of mid-batteried. So we use that weight in our favour. So weight's your friend when you're doing this kind of thing, if you use it properly.
So that's the theory behind all your product then. What's the actual practice of putting this into play then? So you come up with the idea, you love it. What's all this I'm looking at? What's all this tech, and then how does it get sent off to the various manufacturers in the UK to make your parts?
Yeah, so once you kind of have the idea and you do the initial sketches, and this is basically how we want the product to look, then comes all basically the detail work. So what we've got on the screen here, this is a handle from the Q. So even within this part, there are also this sort of sub-assembly. You've got, I don't know, maybe half a dozen big injection molded components. Well, actually, that's not strictly true either. So even before you design it, you have to know how you're going to make it. So even on here, so the two grey bits that we've got there are injection moldings, but made out of different materials. So this has got a hinge in it, so that's got to be made out of polypropylene. That's a different material because it needs different properties. The darker grey part on here is a material that we found, or a process that we found, that's basically it's a microcellular composite material, which is a fancy way of saying basically it's kind of got a honeycomb structure within it. So when they make this component, they inject a gas, like a foaming agent, into it, and that does a couple of things. One, it basically puts lots of little air pockets through it, which partly makes it lighter, but also gives it that structure of like I say, a honeycomb, which then gives you additional rigidity in the part. So, but when you're designing for that, it's different to an injection molding. So there's all this detail that you have to go into as a sort of design engineer. And then it goes on to CAD like this. So we use SolidWorks, which is a fairly sort of industry standard piece of software. But really you have to go into extreme detail on this stuff because this is expensive to get started. So to do something like the Q, we'll spend months and months and months, if not years, in design, and we'll prototype these in different ways. But then by the time you get to actually say, this is what we're going to make, then you're in for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of commitment. So really it's worth all the development and this CAD. So literally, we do this in-house. So John's our engineering director, will sit and do pretty much all this work himself to keep control of everything.
Brilliant. So right, I've seen goods in. I now know how you guys design it, make this, get it ready to go. I think it's about time I get my hands dirty and start to make it, right?
Let's go make a trolley.
Let's do it. Right, Ash, production manager, pleasure to meet you. Bin Mark off now because you can't do this stuff.
Right.
This is your realm.
This is.
You're going to show me the key follow here and how to put it together. We're going to go segment by segment. Not going to show you the whole thing because that's going to take forever.
Correct.
But we'll get the main parts of the trolley right. So what are we looking at here?
So right here we've got the handle and main support. Everyone's going to know what that is. This is the main part of the trolley that will hold your bag up when you're playing golf.
Okay. You've shown me how to do this already.
I have.
So I'm going to try and do my best here. So that goes onto there.
Yep, you got it.
That goes into there.
Yep.
Yes. This is all pretty straightforward when it comes together, isn't it? Because it comes to this production line pretty easily, right?
That's right. We spent a lot of time getting the engineering right so that the flow and the efficiencies are as good as they can be. Nice.
Cool. Right, done that. So now handle on top.
That's right.
How's that going to look? You can do it. You can show me this for me. There we go.
Going to drop it over like that, and then drop this on here.
Screw.
That's it.
We won't show you all of that, and we'll move on to the next one.
On to the next bit.
Lovely. Right, Ash, moving from the handle onto the chassis now. Again, just put it together, right? You've shown me this already. I've tried a couple of times.
Yeah.
That onto there. That onto there. There we go. that into there, and some screws, and I'll do that in a second, but
Perfect.
I want to know how many people are working on this normally when you actually put in the Q series together.
Yep, so typically we've got either 3 or 6 members of staff working on it, depending on how many trolleys we want to produce on that day. 3 members of staff could produce 24 units, and 6 would typically produce 48 units in that day.
Wow. So how long does one take from start to finish when it gets on this production line?
Yeah, so from start to finish, it's normally about 60 minutes.
Yeah. Seems pretty efficient to me. Right, let's get this screwed in and move on to the next part.
Good luck.
Right, so that's all made. What's next, Ash?
Thank you.
Pop it into here.
So we're going to drop it into the main chassis now.
Yeah.
And then drop these screws over the top, and then we're going to pass it through.
Right, thank you, Dan and Ash from the past. Let's come back through again. What's happening now? This is this is what makes this the Q follow, right?
Yep.
This is all the brains and the tech.
This is all the tech that goes into the Q follow. So we're going to take some time now putting this into the main chassis.
While I leave you to do that, should we pass to us in the future to talk about how this is all made?
Sounds like a good idea.
Let's go do it. Right, Ash, we've just seen you putting the brains in down there. Come upstairs to where this is all put together. Talk me through all of this.
Right, so inside the red antennas that you see, this is what's inside them.
Yes.
Some ferrite rods. And then further on down here, you can see that we've
All being put together.
got the ECUs,
Yeah.
pre-cable assembly, and then down here, all cable assembled up, ready to go.
This is what we saw downstairs, right?
This is what we saw downstairs.
Perfect. So this is all getting put together, and of course it's got to be tested as well.
Right.
So I'm going to jump in front of you here. Talk me through all this. This looks quite fancy and sciencey.
So what we're checking for here is that the aerials are matching,
Yeah.
so that they're not imbalanced, and that it's matched up with the handset, and that this is all going to match up on screen. So what we're looking for is that the green lines are going to fall in between these boxes.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Fingers crossed. Boom.
Perfect. So you can see that they're perfectly balanced with themselves, and that will have a good follow function.
And that's ready to go. And then that'll make its way down to the production line where we'll go and join us from the past.
That's right.
So you've also got these red panels on. These are new for the 2025 Q Follow. You can customize, I think, 6 colors, which is pretty cool. Why have you guys decided to do that? I mean, it looks great. I'm loving this red, but there must be a reason behind it.
Yeah, simply because we can.
Yeah.
We build them all in-house, and we wanted to offer a customizational product that other people can't.
And you can do all your 6 colors, people can choose, and there's no other brand that can do that, I believe. So it's very nice to have, isn't it? Right, so we're very close to a trolley. Let's flip this over. Right, Ash, last 2 bits before we get to the rolling road is wheel arches.
Correct.
So you've got yours on already.
Yep.
Put that last screw in for me. I'll get this one done. Thank you. And the screws.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. Right, let's move on to the rolling road.
Rolling.
Right, wheels, Ash. You can get black now. I didn't know that.
Yep, the black ones were released with the new colorways that we've done.
So plenty of customization options. I'm sticking with traditional grey. So if you're entering the giveaway, sorry, this is my choice. Get over it. Let's whack these on. Okay, final touches then, Ash. Testing it to make sure it all works. Got this rolling road here. Show me what you guys do to make sure this thing's all ready to go.
Yeah, so we're just going to run through a couple of the basic functions and have a look at the follow function. So we're going to test the neutral zone first. So the handset shouldn't work in this area.
Yeah.
And then when we come outside this wheel zone, it should kick in.
Okay, here we go. There it is.
And then test your
Pass
side.
over here.
Perfect.
That's all working well.
Yep. And then we're just going to test that it doesn't start in this area.
Yeah.
And then
that's where it should start, is this line here.
That's right.
Off you go.
So
there it
starts.
is. Ooh.
Perfect follow function.
And it stops again.
Perfect.
So we're happy?
Yep.
It's all working?
Good. Yep, we passed.
Is it ready to go then?
It's ready to go.
Final touch, isn't there?
Final touch. Here you go.
The sticker.
The sticker.
Let me see how I get on with this. You can come around and follow me on this. You'll know this is the one that's given away when it's also on the wonk. That's not bad.
There's only one way to find out.
Come on, come on, inspection. Come on, Mark's back.
Are we all done?
This is the first 2025 Q Follow leaving your factory.
And it's all put together properly?
I think, yeah. Well, Ash was there. It's fine. It's fine. Blame him.
Yep.
Mostly blame him, right? It's all ready to go. The sticker's on. That's a pretty good effort, that.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Just ready to go.
Okay. What's next?
Can I get a job?
I'll get back to you.
Cheers, Mark. Okay, so the Q Follow is built and ready to be given away to one of you, but before that, let's take it straight from the factory to the golf course. Come on. So here we are back at the golf course now. I was going to play a full round in it, but we're giving it away, so I don't want to give it too much mileage, but I have checked that my handiwork is okay, and it's all still in one piece. So here it is, 2025 Q Follow, that 8th generation follow technology, the new rangefinder mount on the side, which I don't think we showed you back at the factory, but I'll put some imagery up of us using that now. Very clever integration, and the customizable 6 colors, customizable panels. I went for red, grey wheels. It's all here. Now, this is your chance to win this exact trolley that we have just made at the Stewart factory and brought to my golf course. To enter, all the details are in a link down in the description. You can't miss it. And good luck, and thank you for Stewart for showing us just how an electric trolley is built.